Okay, so we just talked about the structure of a virus having two main parts. And first of all, that was the core of a nucleic acid, which is just DNA or RNA inside of it. And then surrounding that DNA or RNA is something called a protein coat. And that protein coat is actually called a capsid on a virus. So those are the two things that we just talked about. But there are five basic shapes of a virus, and those five basic shapes are right here. You're going to write those down: helical, spherical, polyhedral, binal, and lastly filovirus. So you're going to write those down right there at the top of that next list. So let's go into each one. Helical, I believe you just have to draw, but helical is an RNA or DNA which is coiled in a long, narrow capsid. So we've got the capsid surrounding the outside, and then on the inside of this is the DNA just coiled on the inside of it. So I'm drawing a coil right through the middle of it, and it looks just like that. This helical type of virus is actually, there's an example called tobacco mosaic virus, and we talked about this earlier with that guy named Stanley Wendell, who he was studying these tobacco plants, found that there was a smaller virus or smaller type of organism that was affecting its growth, and he noticed that it looked like these right here. That is a helical type virus. On your test, I'm going to warn you now. On your test, you will have a question that asks to name a tobacco mosaic virus. That should be a helical shaped virus. Moving on from here, we've got a spherical one. Spherical makes tells you exactly the shape. It is round. It's got that ball shape, and it is typically studded with receptors. Really quickly, I do want to tell you what these receptors are. A receptor is something that can send a signal out and receive something. If the receptor was a rounded shape, like this one here, the only type of material that could connect to this, as if it was a puzzle piece, would be something that is round. A square shape would not fit on this side. On this side, obviously a square shape would fit. I do want to tell you that because this will be on your test about these receptors. But then also knowing that a spherical type of bacteria or virus, is something like influenza, which is just the flu. So any of you who have had the flu have had a virus that looks like this. Again, they're very, very small. All right, next one is called polyhedral. Polyhedral is geometric, meaning just that it has poly or many, hedral meaning sides. So it has many sides. It's got a weird shape, and something for this example would be called adenovirus, which is just the common cold. Moving on, is our binal shape. The first part of this word, bi, gives it away. It is a two-part shape. It's got a polyhedral capsid. Again, the capsid is where the DNA and RNA is kept. And the helical tail. So it's got two parts, two shapes to it. This example is called a bacteriophage. If you remember from the very first part of our notes, a bacteriophage is just a virus that affects bacteria. It tells you in the name. A virus that affects bacteria and infects bacteria. So here's the first part. A polyhedral capsid. This is the head, and it is multiple shaped or many-sided. And then lastly, our helical tail is right down here. On your test, you will have to point these two things out because this binal shaped virus is very important for us and identifying it. Our last shape, which is one that we will not probably see very much, but we looked at it in the video that we saw on on Tuesday, a filovirus. No really distinct shape, but it looks like a thread, and it makes loops. That is the Ebola virus. We had an outbreak here last year about Ebola, and our community kind of freaked out about it, hoping that we would not get it, but that is that. So here are all of our shapes, and you have these on your notes. And that is the end of our